What's good, what's good? In this video today, I'm going to talk about the Brave browser again here and how the price went up after that hack. Let me show you my screen actually here. We'll just get into it. Alright, recording my screen. Okay, let me just show you the price. So you can see here, the price, it was down, so I had I don't know, I think it was around $2.50 something or 60 something cents that it went down to, I think yesterday or the day before. And now it's all the way back up to $3.15. And earlier today, it was back up to $3 and 20 something cents. And that's but then it dropped a little bit. And I think I had $3.23 at the highest before it went down because of, I'm assuming it went down because of the hack that I have that in a tab here. But yeah, so, and I only gained maybe 2 or 3 cents worth of ads of BAT, basic attention token, since then. So they really kind of track the volatility of price within the actual browser itself, which is cool. Honestly, the thing about blockchain is it's not the price really, it's the technology behind it. Even if we're talking about Bitcoin, where the price fluctuates very wildly. I was reading this one comment where this person said on YouTube actually, where the person was the price of Bitcoin is just a meme. And that was kind of funny to me. I was that's kind of true. The price of Bitcoin is literally, it's pretty much just a meme, but the actual importance of Bitcoin is the technology behind it, the blockchain, the distributed network consensus, and the proof of work / proof of stake, depending on whatever network you're using for Bitcoin. It's proof of work. That's actually the most important things behind it. It's the ideas behind it, not really the price, because the price is just a meme. That was a perfect way to put it. But okay, and then same with basic attention token here. Honestly, we're witnessing Web 3.0 in my opinion, with this browser here. And I don't know all the cryptos or even the crypto browsers, to be honest, but all I know is this is Web 3.0, to where you can get paid, even though it's a little bit, it's really not that much, but to get paid bi-monthly just for using the World Wide Web the same way that we used to in Web 2.0. But we get paid in this version, and we don't get all of those random ads before our YouTube videos and all that stuff. That's gotta be Web 3.0, or at least the beginning of Web 3.0. To me, that's just nuts. Even though you don't get that much money from it for now, at least, the whole concept, that's gotta be Web 3.0. But let's look at why the price went down for Brave browser. So, and this was 4 days ago. So a little bit, this is probably 2 days ago where I'm talking about how the price went down, and it hasn't recovered fully yet, or it recovered fully, but then it kind of went down a little bit for some reason today. But privacy bug in Brave browser exposes dark web browsing history of its users. So this is what happens if you open up a Tor window. Okay, well, let me just read it. So Brave has fixed a privacy issue in its browser that sent queries for .onion domains, if you use Tor basically, to public internet domain name service resolvers rather than routing them through Tor nodes, exposing users' visits to dark web websites. And it was, the bug was fixed and the version was made available. To be honest, I probably ought to update that. Brave ships with a built-in feature called Private Window with Tor, which you can open that up pretty easy. Yeah, this is a private window with Tor. I might have, shoot, is this one with Tor? Yeah, I think this is with, oh no, sorry, Alt-Shift-N. There we go. This is a private window with Tor. There we go. So you could like search whatever you want on there. But yeah, so that's the built-in feature. Integrates Tor anonymity network into the browser, allowing users to access .onion websites which are hosted on the darknet without revealing the IP address information to the internet service providers, Wi-Fi network providers, and the websites themselves. This is achieved by relaying requests for an onion URL through the network of volunteer-run Tor nodes. At the same time, yeah, it's worth noting that the features uses Tor as a proxy and doesn't implement most of the privacy protections offered by Tor. I've been told by people to not even really bother with the Tor part of with the Tor part of Brave. Like if you really want to use Tor, you should just use the Tor browser itself and don't use Brave, because there's like different stuff that the Tor browser offers, which, you know, I don't really look up things that are that bad, to be honest, or like that will get me like arrested or like, I don't know, embarrass me too much, to be honest. So I don't really have that much of a use for the Tor, but I mean, it's a cool feature though. The privacy deleting bug in the Tor mode browser made it possible to leak all .onion addresses visited by a user to public DNS resolvers. So basically anyone who wanted to see your history, if like they're really interested in that, they would be able to. Like if they just had your IP address, basically, they could see what you're looking at. Your ISP or DNS provider will know that a request made to a specific Tor website was made by your IP address exactly. The post-read DNS requests are by design unencrypted, which is interesting, meaning that any request to access .onion sites in Brave can be tracked, thereby defeating the very purpose of the privacy feature. See, this whole thing is interesting. Anything that's unencrypted is like in jeopardy basically right now with the whole blockchain thing. Like this Web 3.0 is like gonna be pretty nuts. Basically everything that's unencrypted can now be encrypted inside of a business model. And that's crazy. Because like a lot of things on the internet weren't even supposed to be private to begin with, but now if it's going to be private, that's crazy. Okay, so the issue stems from the browser's CNAME ad blocking feature, canonical name. I have the wiki on that, we'll check that out. Ad blocking feature that blocks third-party tracking scripts that use CNAME DNS records to impersonate the first-party script when it is not, and avoid detection by content blockers. So basically what a CNAME is, a canonical name record, is a type of record in the DNS system. In the domain name system, it maps like a name onto an IP address basically. So like you have data that's connected, that's like, I guess you could say held by computers that are referenced by certain IP addresses, but like the domain name system maps a name onto that IP address. So like you don't have to type in like the IP address of Wikipedia or something. If you want to go on Wikipedia, you can just type in like wikipedia.org and it'll connect you to that. It'll connect your computer's IP address to that computer's IP address. and then you can exchange information on the internet because of that connection. So like it makes it more, it's like human readable. That's kind of the way it's mentioned. It's like a human readable system. So we're like not, so our computers can deal with the IP address and the numbers and stuff, and we can deal with the actual like words and names. So, but a canonical name record is a type of resource record in the DNS that maps one domain name, which is an alias, onto another, the canonical name. So basically, you have one name that is being used. Like, so the hack was like, or not really the hack because it was more of a mistake, but like you have one name that's used for whatever you want to look up, but then the canonical name is like the browser blocks canonical names because they can have third-party tracking scripts attached to them, or they can have third-party tracking scripts like as code that can like basically track you, like cookies and whatnot. And I don't know the scripts exactly, but like because I didn't write them, but basically the browser, it blocks a lot of third-party tracking cookies and all that stuff. And the way it does it is by blocking CNAMEs. So rather than, because with the CNAME, you can have like records in a database. You can have the non-alias name of the site, or whatever you want, the site basically in this case, or whatever information, but in this case it's a website. But you can have another name that references, that points to that first name. So you can have the regular site you want to go to that has a name attached to it and an IP address attached to it, and then the domain name points to the IP address. But then you can have a canonical name that points to the domain name, and then that domain name would route it to the IP address, so it would route it to like that proper computer that you wanted in the first place. But then in this case, the browser, it blocks the CNAMEs, or well, CNAME, because CNAME refers to one, and then DNAME, it's like a whole subtree. But then CNAME just refers to one, so it blocks like the CNAME. And then that CNAME could have like third-party tracking scripts or whatever, like that's part of the transfer of information. But then since Brave browser blocks that, you only have the first party, you only have a connection between the first party site that you want and your computer. If that makes sense. Like, I'll probably explain that bad, but I hope that makes sense. So then, basically, because that's blocked, then you don't get the tracking scripts or whatever that's involved with the other like canonical name site, or like the other alias name site, if that makes sense. So yeah, stems from the CNAME ad blocking feature that blocks third-party tracking scripts that use CNAME DNS records to impersonate the first-party script when it is not, and avoid detection by content blockers. So hopefully like my explanation on that made sense. If like you have a better explanation, then like put it in the comments or something. But in doing so, a website can cloak third-party scripts using subdomains of the main domain, which are then redirected automatically to a tracking domain. So when you see the word domain, just think of it as like a name that is mapped to an IP address. So think about it as like an IP address, basically. Think about it as like a computer. So a website can cloak third-party scripts using other computers that are connected to the main computer, and then redirect the subcomputers automatically to a tracking computer. Yeah, if that makes sense. That's kind of crazy, but yeah, because you have a group of computers that connects to this main computer that you want, and then that group of computers could have different tracking scripts and stuff like that, and then they could redirect that to like any other computer. Like, so they can redirect it to like a computer that has a bunch of like cookies and stuff on it, like that just like tracks you across the web. Like, and I need to learn more about networking, but that's just the gist of it. Like, that's probably just the intro, honestly. Like, there's so much more that's involved in that stuff. Like if anything, like look it up more if you want to like know more about it. But yeah, like that's kind of how you're tracked across the web if people like really want to know like what sites you've gone to. But yeah, so Brave acknowledged the issue, they fixed it, and all this really doesn't matter because like at the end of the day, people usually like, no one really wants your search history, to be honest. Like, because one, there's just so much, especially these days, and two, like even if you're like the president or like Jeff Bezos or something, like no one really cares that much, because like everyone does web searches now, so like it really doesn't make that much of a difference. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. Yeah, so that's kind of how the price went down, but then like came back up, and now it's like recovering. And yeah, like, and that's pretty good. So it's almost like 50 cents per BAT, it seems like, because I have like around 6.3 BATs and $3.15 US dollars, so it's around like 50 cents ish, a little bit under 50 cents per BAT, and that's not that bad. Like, it's a little bit, it's low, but I mean, this is the beginning of Internet 3.0, it seems like, and that's just exciting off top. And like I say, let me just end this now. Like I say, it's really not the price, to be honest. It's more of the actual technology behind whatever's going on, like behind the token, behind the coin. It's because the technology is what's going to carry it forward, and the network. So if people adopt the technology and they get onto the network, then that's just gonna make the network more valuable, and then increase the price of whatever token you have. Like, that's the thing about Web 3.0. With Web 2.0, it was like the network effects. It was just, okay, if you can get a bunch of people using your application or your social media site or whatever, you can monetize it by serving people ads on the network. But now, with this new model, it's just simply the fact that there's more people on the network. That's how it gets monetized now. Because with this new ad model, they just automatically pay into the network rather than having a middleman like Google or Twitter or whatever, where like they pay, like where the advertisers kind of they pay to that entity and then that entity takes a cut. Now it's just they paid that. I mean, I guess they still kind of pay to that entity, but then that entity is more transparent now because 70%, in the case of Brave, 70% of the money that they get, it goes to the publishers and actually the users too. And they do take 30%, but it's more of a, just the more people that use it, the more valuable it gets. Which I guess is like Web 2.0 too, to be honest. Like the more people that use it, the more valuable it got. But then that was due to other things like ads, and that kind of made it like a little bit like muddled and all that stuff. So I mean, I guess it's still new too, so we'll see how this model works. But yeah, like just the fact that the users can be compensated just by being on the network, like that just makes like the, how do we put it? It's just cleaner. Like the compensation is just cleaner. It makes everything seem kind of more clean. And you don't have to force things too much. Like you don't have to force advertisements down people's throats. You don't have to like force your content to be a certain way in order to like, I don't know. Maybe it's wishful thinking and it's just new, so I'm like excited about it. But it just seems, or maybe I'm happy because I'm getting paid by just using the internet. But it just seems kind of cleaner. But yeah, that's it. I'm done talking. That's more than enough. I think I already talked about the white paper for Brave. I'm like reading more white papers, so we'll probably have more videos on those. But I'm done talking. All right, I'll catch y'all later. Stay healthy, Healthcare Network.